Ladies. Louder.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is a regular meeting of the Ferndale Schools Board of Education held on April 15th. Our meeting is being video recorded and will be posted on the Ferndale Schools YouTube channel. All meetings in the Ferndale Schools are held in public in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Printed documents discussed in tonight's meeting are available to the public upon request, with the exception of any information protected by student or employee privacy rights. Board meeting information is posted on our website at www.ferndaleschools.org. If you do not have internet access and need information, please contact the board offices at 248-586-8652 by Thursday of the week prior to the meeting, and district staff will do their best to work with you. Okay. I am officially Vice President Fulmer. This is my first meeting to start because our president is en route. So some grace as we move forward. I think we're going to roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Yes. Sigleric.
Here.
Elturk.
Here.
Hart. Here. Latash.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Vice President Fulmer.
Here.
Thank you.
Approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I would move to remove items 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.6 for consideration at a later date.
Other than these changes, does anyone have any additional changes to the agenda? Then without objection and with unanimous consent, the agenda as amended is approved. Item 2, presentation of building, Ferndale High School. This is Michael Griffin, principal.
Oh, don't worry, I can use my educator voice.
It's for the camera. It's for the camera.
Okay, okay. Good evening, everyone, and
evening.
welcome to the Ferndale High School Strategic Plan Presentation Update. Do I need to click or? Okay.
Ready?
Yep, I'm ready. So this evening, we'll take you through an update of our strategic plan. And as those of you insiders know, we look at our strategic plan through the pillars of environment, excellence, and empowerment, all kind of wind together through the lens of equity. You can continue on. So to speak to that, the first area we'll look at is measuring environmental success. And I don't have my glasses, so I'm making it up a little bit so that I can see. So in terms of physical resources, this element talks about resources, physical. So we've worked on recruiting and training and retaining our security liaisons. Another place where security comes from is we use OK to Say. Most of you may be familiar with OK to Say. What it is it's a tip, anonymous tip line where students can feel safe by calling in. And the logo is if you see something, say something. We promote it. It's amazing how many tips we actually do get through OK to Say. Students they feel comfortable talking to someone and know something is going to get done. Another system similar to that is Gaggle reports, and that one works a little bit differently. It does not work where the students are actually submitting. It detects information that may come through, like in paper, if you're writing, and it may say I'm impressed or I'm down. And so admin will get that report and it'll let us know, hey, go check on your student and we'll do a well-being check. So we get those on a regular basis as well. Some other physical resources that we utilize are our partners, which is community and schools and Ferndale youth referrals. So we'll talk a little bit more later about multi-tiered systems of support. But, you know, in the event that we need to use them for those wraparound services, we definitely rely on our partners. Something that we're looking and hoping to bring next year is a feature called Smart Pass, so we can know where our students are at all times. Smart Pass is actually, I think it's being, they're trying it out over at UHS right now. We're hoping to get approval for funding. It allows us to electronically mark and track where students are going. It can prevent you from having, you know, certain students that shouldn't be out at the same time out. We can also track how many passes, you know, that people get with, you know, throughout the day, or the repeat offenders, and just really a way that we can pretty much make sure, you know, the building is secure. So on the emotional side of safety, we look at our panorama data, and those surveys go out throughout the year. They go out to families and students at the beginning of the year. Last year, something we noticed is that our kids scored low on self-efficacy. So we shared that information with staff, and we just took various approaches to try to build up their self-esteem and, you know, making sure that they feel that they have the capacity to be successful in school. Something that's big this year is we revamped our Impact Hour curriculum by adopting new curriculum through Trails, which will be our social emotional learning component, as well as Atlas, and we'll go a little bit more into details about that later as well. Something that our mental health specialist and Ms. Jessie from Ferndale, if you look at this window right here, it was an incentive called Between the Bills, and where all these yellow and white posters are, the signs below it, you know, share some social emotional things, but the top one of them says, what do I want to hear more of, and what do I need to say? And students were encouraged and empowered to come up and just put the posters up here. So take a look at it when you go out. That was a little bit earlier in the year. But just doing things like that on a regular basis so that we can really hear, you know, how our students feel and find out what's going on in their lives. Monthly character traits are shared through our monthly grade level meetings, and I'll pop in some slides about that a little later. And then, of course, positive behavior supports and interventions for students of the month and our SOAR initiatives as well. So, more on resources. So again, recruiting highly qualified staff. This year, toward the end of last school year, we got a new community in schools. Representative Miles Green, he's amazing. He can really relate well to the kids. He's here all the time, he's everywhere. One of his, you know, community schools goal is to eliminate, at least try to eliminate any barriers that our students experience with school. And so one thing that he's big on is attendance, truancy, and then again, providing other wraparound supports that students may need. Our mental health specialist, Ms. Reese, has done amazing. This is a new thing for Ferndale. Most schools generally have mental health specialists or social workers for students with disabilities, but this is for our gen ed students. And so it was amazing when she got here last year. She was like, I don't know if I'm being impactful, if I'm seeing enough students. And now she's like, I don't know how to manage all the students that I have. So I told her that's a good problem to have. She used to feel like what am I spending my hours, you know, but now she's overwhelmed and overjoyed by how she can support this learning community. Something else new this year, we got a Michigan State University College Advisor Coordinator. She is a she's an alumni from here, just recently, probably within the last 5 or 6 years, Isabel Kolanowski. She's amazing with the kids. She's also our softball coach, no, soccer. She's coaching soccer now. So she's come in and just kind of moved on in seamlessly. So she's here to provide those resources, college visits on a regular basis, taking them off campus, bringing colleges here, and so she's a great resource to have. We have another restorative practice coach, so expanding our restorative practices. If you look at our code of conduct, a lot of what we do is grounded in restorative. So not just being reactive, but trying to be proactive. And so we have 2 restorative practices coaches here now who are putting several systems in place, and I'll probably chat about that a little more in presentation as well. And then another district resource that was added last year was our student support network coordinator, who mainly deals with McKinney-Bento and things like that. Some physical resources, building thinking classrooms resources. Another thing, if you look on the walls around here, sometimes if you look over here, you'll see where things are just written up here. This is a academic initiative that our instructional leadership team will come up and share with you a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. New state-of-the-art football field, school marquee, we can move on. So this is excellence as well. So just wanted to talk about some school-wide instructional practices. This is a district initiative, disciplinary literacy, which pretty much deepens students' content knowledge. The goal is to make students experts in that content area. So in science class, you become a scientist. In math, you become a mathematician, and so on. So that the students can really get, that deep into those content areas. And so that's disciplinary literacy. Building thinking classrooms. One of our building goals was to increase student engagement and to have more student-centered, inquiry-based instruction. So again, a couple of our amazing teachers are here to talk to you about that in just a moment. Something we did last year was begin to audit and revise the master schedule because we really, student choice and student voice should drive the master schedule. And so we were able to add these new electives, journalism, you'll hear from our newspaper crew this evening as well, yearbook, and forensics became classes now offered in our student, in our master schedule. And forensics is more like a debate class, it's not like science. And this, again, is just to optimize access for all of our students. So, I spoke a little bit about the new impact curriculum. We created a impact planning committee that consisted of teachers, a couple of them might be here this evening. They led this initiative as far as what do we want to happen in impact? How can we make this a better structure and efficient, effective use of time throughout the day? I'm a firm believer that you got to Maslow before you bloom. And so anybody who knows education, Maslow's hierarchy of needs means you got to be fed, you got to be safe, you got to be warm before you can bloom, meaning, Bloom's higher, taxonomy. So you can't learn and do recall and synthesis if you're hungry and cold. And so with that, we got to push SEL. We got to make sure our kids are okay. And I truly believe that we teach kids before content. So SEL is important around here. So we revamped it to where kids travel versus non-travel days. We had to put some systems in place because if you came on impact, at some point, you might just think they were at the mall just walking. And so we said, we got to do something about this, right? And so, and more checks and balances about what's going on. So we put a system in place where the students have to actually, on travel days, they have to email their teacher in advance. They get an approval from the teacher. There's a spreadsheet. The teachers are able to have checks and balances and say where you were supposed to be. And if you don't do it in 24 hours, then you don't go. Right, kids? Yeah. And so that helped out a whole lot of things. And so now on 2 days a week they stay and they're working on that curriculum. This year we started with some of our added curriculum, doing grade checks and goal setting. So as we stated, our students have low self-esteem. So we're showing them how can you set some goals? How can you look at your grades and see what you need to work on? And so just building up that self-esteem and those executive functioning skills for students. And then the trails is more of our SEL curriculum. All of our staff have been trained on that. I believe our last PD, district PD, they were trained on that, and we'll be rolling that out in the fall. So that's the social emotional portion. Working with the district to continue to build our multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS, you'll see it as that as well, which pretty much are your 3 tiers of academic and social support for students. Tier 1, you want to make sure that you have high quality instruction everywhere, all around you, right? Tier 2 is when we kind of zoom into those students that are at risk, and we provide them with some small group supports. I talked about restorative practice earlier. Our restorative practice coaches have taken the students that are performing pretty low after last semester grade and having small group conversations with them about how can I do better? What are the challenges that I'm having in school? Just empowering them to talk about what's challenging in them and setting goals to do a little better. And then of course, tier 3 are your high-risk targeted supports. That might be where we, send them off to the mental health specialist. That might be, we talked a little bit about Ferndale youth assistance. We talked about community and schools. That's when we use those partners to support us with those wraparound resources. Some other interventions that we have are our Back on Track program, which meets every day after school. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 3 days a week after school. The students that were targeted were 9th and 10th grade students who performed pretty low on standardized testing and or failed one or more classes at the semester, or actually in the fall with their grades in the fourth grade. So therein, with support from highly effective teachers, restorative rules, we just talked about those, equal time to impact selection, transcript auditing and credit recovery, working with our counseling staff to make sure that those transcript audits are happening on a regular basis, and we're not letting them probably get too far to where we're juniors now, we gotta take, 3 or 4 classes in credit recovery. So just putting some systems in place. This last year has been a lot about putting systems in place so we can make a good impact. So again, we talked about our partners, Ferndale Youth, SDOC, Community and Schools, and then upcoming is our Summer Bridge program. And again, that's going to be targeting those students that are rising 9th graders, meaning they're coming from the 8th to 9th grade, so we can catch their challenges early on and provide them with support early on. So we will, in that Summer Bridge, we'll have 9th and 10th grade. So I'm not going to read these slides. I reached out to our department, and I'm overjoyed with the amount of support that departments have shared. So these are, from the instructional leadership team. You can read them. I won't go through all of them, but just kind of telling you what's going on in our world language department, our social studies department, our science department. You can go on, because I want to make sure I save enough time for the presentation. English department, special education department, math department, and then fine arts jumped in and shared some of the things that they've been working on this year in the areas of the dance program, the visual arts program, our theater program, choir, band, and orchestra. So again, I won't read all of these for you. I know the slides will be shared, so you guys can reference those. So more points of pride for fine arts, just sharing their success of having taken students out this year. Band and orchestra students participated in solo ensemble festival. Marching band and winter guard had a very successful competitive season. I put this was in there later on. Winter guard as well actually expanded from, it's not really like varsity and JV, but it's 2 separate groups this year. And so we're just noticing an increase in the amount of students that are participating in extracurricular activities, and that's amazing. So winter guard has expanded, and then orchestra have performed multiple places. So more from the fine arts department. Again, I won't read through all of those, just to make sure we have enough time. I want to read through them all. Fine arts is sharing the great success of the 25th annual Putnam Country Spelling Bee. So that was this year's play. Hopefully you got an opportunity to get out and see it. But just a photo of the students. Of course, our annual plays are always amazing. So that's this year. More photos and captured moments from the fine arts department. And this is, I'm going to turn it over now to building and thinking classrooms. So again, this was a school initiative. The IOT at the end of the year, last year, again, we're trying to increase student engagement. They said, can we work on presenting, so our professional learning community, they present. We have Ms. Rachel Morrison, our English department head, and we have Ms. Shannon Lapicolo for math, and I turn it over to them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Morrison. I'm the instructional lead teacher in the English department. I've been in the Ferndale Schools District here at the high school for 18 years. This is my 18th year. And I also have a child who is currently at FECC. So just to kind of give a little bit of an overview as to what the ILTs have been doing here at the high school. Our overall goal this year was to improve student achievement through student engagement. And so what we have put together, the entire ILT team, which is more than just myself and Shannon, is a plan to use this book as our basis. It's called Building Thinking Classrooms, and it's a framework by Peter Liddell to support the development of higher order thinking in student-centered classrooms. Initially, this is thought of as a math approach. However, the ILT team has led our staff in doing this approach and using this framework in all content areas. So the ILT team, about once a month, has led the entire staff through kind of collaborating with what we've been doing for this framework. Plus, we also work with our departments during PLC time as well. The Building Thinking Classrooms approach, or BTC as we call it, promotes active learning and student collaboration, as well as critical thinking and metacognitive reflection. The FHS ILT team has introduced this framework to the staff as part of our focus on disciplinary literacy, specifically problem-based instruction in the classroom. Math teacher and ILT, Shannon Lapicolo, is going to discuss more specifically what it would look like in a classroom.
Hi, Rachel already introduced me, so I don't need to restate my name, but I've also been teaching here for 18 years. I've had my whole career here at Ferndale High School, so my 18th year. So just to give you a little look at what these problem-solving tasks look like in our classroom, the tasks are designed to engage students in a topic prior to any direct instruction or learning. The tasks should be accessible to all students, make real-life connections, have multiple approaches, encourages collaboration and discussion, promotes curiosity, and provides opportunities for extension. I brought in a little, we had this made, and you'll see this present in all of our classrooms. Every teacher received one of these, has these hanging. So basically, this is kind of the framework we want our students to go through here. We want them to try the problem. We want them to get stuck. We want them to experiment and find multiple ways to solve a problem. There should be multiple ways that they can get to the end result, not just one. They have to apply a variety of strategies, then adapt these strategies till they finally get to whatever the end result may be. Also, the makeup of these tasks, as Ms. Griffin stated, we kind of did some of these problem-solving tasks within our PLCs and our teacher-led PLCs. So we've written on like the classroom glasses, but a lot of the teachers have non-permanent white surfaces within their classroom. If some of the teachers didn't have them within their classroom, they used the outside windows within the hallways. So we've all done our best to take this on within our classrooms. And basically, we just want every kid to have an opportunity to contribute in some way. And we really feel that BTC allows every student to be able to have their voice heard and contribute in either a large, minor, or in some way. So now I'm going to introduce, where did he go? Oh, you're behind me. We just invited Tyler Ruth to come up and just give you a little insight of his experience with Building Thinking Classroom this year as well.
The base problem solving has helped me a lot because it develops my own separate thoughts and helped me think through answers instead of being handed to. In addition to this is that it helped me talk to my classmates and helped me grow relationship to them and comparing and contrasting our thoughts and answers. It also helped me relearn things from previous experiences that I can apply to the things as we are learning as of now. An example of this is using types of angles in transversal and parallel lines to figure out the sum of two angles in a parallelogram.
So just some Ferndale High School points of pride. This year we had 31 students inducted into the National Honor Society. Robotics will be off to the World Championships in the morning. Woo woo, I'm a robotics mom, so I'm a little bit hyped there. So they're off to Texas in the morning. DECA successfully competed at our state conference. And one thing I'll say about DECA, again, that confidence was not there last year. We had about maybe 7 kids that were supposed to go. On the day they were going last year, 1 or 2 kids went. The confidence wasn't there. They weren't ready, but this year we sent a nice group of students down there. I did DECA in high school, so that warms up my heart as well to see those kids go down there and compete. As everybody knows, we were 2023 basketball state champions. 353 students are playing at least one sport now. And I mean, of course, this is considerably high post-COVID. So it's just amazing to see the amount of kids that are active and engaging. That's over half of the student population. So That's a big thing. You know, that's nearly half. That's real big. All athletic rosters have seen a considerable increase in participants. And then this is the first year of having enough athletes to fill a JV roster for girls soccer and winter guard, as I expressed earlier. So just some points of pride. Empowerment. So as we look at empowerment, our goal is to empower students by providing and engaging in collaborative culture of inclusion, equity, and transparency. So school culture and climate, our monthly grade level meetings. Ms. Wright, can you click on to that?
Which one is
So, yeah, right there. I know you guys always hear, oh, sorry, I didn't give myself access when I put it in there. So nonetheless, I want to share with you what the slides from a grade level meeting would look like. Because I know you hear us talking about what we do with the students. I'll make sure that I change that link so that when we send it out to you guys, you can see it. But it consists of sharing some good news. We open up and acknowledge our students of the month. We share what's going on and what's upcoming, like this month, of course, testing information, any deadlines that students have, celebrating them, and then that's when we push in the monthly character trait, which this month happens to be aligned with something else that we do throughout the building is monthly equitable practices. And so the monthly equitable practices that we're asking staff to work on with students this month are positive self-talk, which kind of turns a statement from, oh, I always mess things up, to I'll try harder, maybe I can get it next time. I always make some mistakes, oh, I can learn from this mistake. So we did an activity with the students in the grade level meetings where we just kind of put the negative statements up and had them build on how they can change that and make it positive. Another monthly equitable practice for the month of April was student feedback and revision. So in our last staff meeting, I actually shared some feedback that I found in the basement from an instructor that I had in college, but her feedback was like pages and pages long. And so our conversation with staff and myself was, is this too much or is this enough? What should feedback look like? And then what are we doing with the feedback? And so I thought that would be great for the month of April because it's about that time where we're, near the end of the year. And so not only are we allowing kids, feedback or giving them feedback, but what opportunities are we giving for revision? So that's what the teachers are focusing on as far as equitable practices this month. And so, just sharing, that our interest in student clubs and organizations has increased. Reinstated class officers, which is something that has been really big. So I have to give a shout out to Ms. Powell for working with our senior class, and then we got Mr. Green. I said he's doing everything. Miles Green, who's our community and schools, he's also the senior sponsor. And so the students are actually empowered to plan for themselves. They're doing fundraising. They raised a lot of money this year. It's been a while since they've been fundraising. Last year, at the end of the year, the kids had a concept or an idea that anything they needed to do had to be pushed through USA. And I'm like, that's not the case. You should have a class president. You should have a vice president. You should have a treasurer. And so we have brought that back, and we have representatives for not only the senior class, but the junior, the sophomore, and the freshman classes as well, so that they can start early with planning for their events. Family, community engagement, some things that we've done this year. We had a vision board party where we brought families in, to set those goals at the beginning of the year, and it was a great event. Senior pinning was a first for us this year, an opportunity to pretty much, it's different times. People do it. Some people do it in the fall. Some people do it. And we decided to do it the new year, kind of say, hey, let's set a goal. Shout out to Ms. Latash for coming in and speaking to our families. Thank you. You did an amazing job. But it was a first. It was definitely a first. It's pretty much a commitment to, okay, I'm almost here. Here's what I need to do. We're not going to rest on our laurels. Let's keep it going, and let's make that commitment. It was great to see the parents get to pin their students, and it's a first, and it'll definitely be a tradition here. And then upcoming is Ferndale Youth. They will be hosting a wellness event on Friday, May 3rd, and that is going to consist of massages and I think nails and all kind of things. Our partners have been amazing, so they come up with ideas, and we get the things going. So communication, some of the means that we use for communication are, of course, Remind, Canvas, MyStar, this more monthly newsletter that I send out to families, our school marquee, our Eagles weekly forecast, which is something that's internal for just the staff, and then our daily and impact announcements. If you don't know, I have to give a shout out to the third of our team, Mr. Greg, because he is that voice of Ferndale, and you'll hear him on the PA every day talking about what's going on throughout the school. So we do also use old school communication as well. FHS newspaper, and I believe we're not up next. We're going to do peer-to-peer first, but FHS is here, newspaper. I just wanted to talk about some of the great things going on outside of the classroom. Just some field trips that teachers submitted where they're taking the kids to this year: U of M, Ann Arbor, and Dearborn, Eastern Michigan University. Of course, we've had a number of colleges come in as well. Michigan Career Quest. So just trying to empower students or to set them up for post-secondary success, whether it be college or career readiness. We want to make sure that those kids that are not going off to college are prepared for the workforce. A walking photography tour. The students went downtown in Ferndale and took pictures. They've gone to the Holocaust Memorial Center. I will be attending a field trip with Mr. Riasti in Detroit history to the Heidelberg Project and the DIA really soon. And of course, we know you guys have heard about Eagles Exploring Europe. So they went for the second time this year, and they're planning another trip, I believe, year after next. That's all for that one. Just some pictures, those experiences. And now we're going to move on to our spotlight programs. First up, we have our special education department with peer-to-peer programs. Mr. Joe Altizer and Danny House. Thank you, guys.
So my name is Joe Altizer. I'm the high school self-contained MOCAI teacher for the students that have mild to moderate cognitive impairments.
And then I'm Danny Collins. I'm the adult transition teacher. So when Joe's guys graduate, they come to me. So I have students cognitively impaired, autism spectrum disorder, really anything. But yeah, we're here to share about peer-to-peer. This is a fantastic program that Ferndale has been running for over a decade now. Myself, I'm a proud Ferndale graduate, class of 2015. I was a peer myself. This got me into special education, so I went and got my degree, came back, and now I'm a special ed teacher. So it's an awesome program. If you're not aware, peer-to-peer is an evidence-based practice out of the START program from Grand Valley State. We've been doing this for a long time. Really what it is allows students from our general ed population to come into our self-contained program and work with our students to promote independence, belonging, friendships. We've seen some really cool friendships blossom over the years.
So the peer-to-peer program, the day-to-day looks a little different depending on which class the students are in. But generally, the general education students come into our classrooms. They sit alongside our students. They actually get to pick who they want to work with. They kind of meet each of the students in all 5 of our self-contained programs, kind of decide who they jive with the most. They come in and they work with them side by side. They're doing the work alongside them, so they're not doing the work for them. They're modeling what it looks like to be a student who is participating, who is being social, who's interacting appropriately. They're also showing appropriate behavioral supports. They also get to go on trips. So anytime we go on a field trip, we invite our peers generally with us. They get to go to the movies, Henry Ford. We take a lot of trips on the Smart Bus to get around our community. Most of our students will not be able to drive a car, so they're learning how to navigate their community, and the peers are doing that alongside of us. The cool thing is they get to learn that with them as well.
So yeah, just to highlight some of the benefits. I think our major benefit here is inclusion. We get to see our students interact with the population that they kind of don't usually get to. We're kind of tucked away in that corner. This allows students from all around our building to kind of push into us and get to meet our awesome students. So it's really cool to see our guys walking in the commons and people, hey, Ellie, hey, Maya, hey, Kayla. So that's been a really big benefit for peer-to-peer.
No, and I kind of think, so big takeaways from peer-to-peer. Effective for, oh wait, go back one more, almost done. Effective for all students, essential for some. So our students feel like they're in a part of a community because they are. They're a part of the Ferndale community. They're within our school. The coolest thing in the world is being able to see our kids. Like, I am really far away from them down the hall, and we see random high schoolers run up to them to high five them, invite them to lunch. They get invited to birthday parties, graduations. They are a part of that Ferndale community, and this program allows students that wouldn't normally be able to interact with our students on a day-to-day basis become friends with them, and then lifelong friends. The other thing is it promotes independence and social competency, which only develop with opportunity. So being able to provide that opportunity for not just our students, but the general education students to come into our room means the world. Now, I do have a video. So we had 2 students that were going to come and present with us. However, they weren't able to. I made this today. I apologize. You get to hear my awkward voice record this. I wouldn't be terribly upset if the sound didn't work, but
Really?
yeah.
Ooh, okay, so you can make new friends. What else does peer-to-peer do for you guys? Okay, what about you, Jordan? Oh, meeting new people, I like that. How about you, Chelsea? What do you like about peer-to-peer? Fantastic.
I think the big takeaway from that is they make friends. Their school is so much more than just learning, and this provides an opportunity for the students in our self-contained program and general education students to build lifelong friendships.
You're looking at one, like I said, the whole reason I went into this was because of peer-to-peer. I'm actually the teacher of the student that I was up here with, so full circle.
Graduates next year.
And he graduates next year, so that's going to be a lot of tears. But, yeah, so thank you. That's peer-to-peer.
Can I ask a couple questions? Thank you so much. Just 2 questions. For the Gen Ed Students Assistant elective,
Yes.
and can you just give us a sense of how many participate every semester?
So when I started working here 4 years ago, we had usually 6 or 7. Right now, I think we're up to 20. Almost too many, which is a great problem to have. We have to be a little bit more selective, I think, going forward. But we have people really kind of begging to be in our room just because they get to work with our students.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peer-to-peer. Why do you guys like peer-to-peer?
Okay, and for our final spotlight program, we have Mr. Mark Riassi in the Eagle newspaper.
I'm so excited about this.
I hope I don't disappoint. Hi, my name is Mark Riasti. I am a high school English and social studies teacher here. I've been with the district off and on for the better part of 20 years and am a graduate of Ferndale High School. When I was here as a student close to 30 years ago, I was lucky enough to take a journalism class with an incredible teacher named Carol Beaver, who then asked me to join the newspaper staff, which is in many ways the reasons I went to college. I was really invested in it. It was a really powerful experience for me. Last year, when our school talked about bringing this elective class back, I was really excited and sort of put my hat in with our instructional lead teacher, Rachel Morrison, to be the person to kind of take this on. And so I've been really excited. We, last month, published our 4th issue, which I have a copy for all of you. It's a print run of about 500 papers, and it's a student-run resource. I'm just going to really quickly highlight, our basic process is that we come in and we brainstorm what's going on in the school, what do we want to cover, what's relevant to our readers, if most of our readers are other high schoolers, although we have subscriptions from adults in the community. Staff read the paper as well, so we need to be cognizant of who we're writing for. And I think for me, as an English teacher, that's one of the great things about this program is a lot of what you write in a high school English class is for an audience of one. It's for your high school English teacher who, quite frankly, has read the book along with you. And one of the things that I really love about this is you're writing for a much broader and realistic audience, and there's some reality that comes with it. So I'm going to just highlight really quickly a cycle of an issue. We come in, we brainstorm what's going on, what's relevant to our readers. Our students then make pitches about what they want to cover. We run a news page up front, an opinion page, entertainment, reviews, feature stories on students and staff, and a sports page. The editorial staff, and we're going to meet some of them in a moment, will go through kind of picking which stories are going to be in the issue, give feedback to the other students on some of their pitches. Students go out, schedule interviews. They're going to come back with a rough draft. As the advisor, I'm going to help students craft their writing, kind of hone in what they need to do to turn this into a finished product. And then they turn in a second draft. Our editorial staff takes a second look at it. We do mock-ups, and we really try our best to make sure that what's going out to print is a professional-looking newspaper. I could talk on and on about this. It's something I love and I'm really passionate about, but I think it's probably best if I just bring up the members of my staff. So I'm going to bring up the members of my staff and just let them kind of speak to why this has been a good experience for them. So I'm just going to introduce them as they kind of come. This is Marie Hogan-Guyton. She's one of our staff writers. Dan Suber is the opinion editor. I'm going to get you last. Mylan Scott, another of our staff writers. Pearson Clark is the sports editor. Dakari Smith is our circulation manager. Raven Webb is the photography editor. And I'm going to leave you to start, and if anybody else wants to speak to this after, but I'm going to leave you with Abby Rice, who is our editor-in-chief this year. I should also note that this is the first year that Ferndale High School has run a newspaper in 11 years, so we're really happy to bring this program back. And I'm just going to let you lead with something that you think has been a positive experience for yourself.
Hi, I'm Abby. I think that the journalism program is I think it's a really good idea because it gets a lot of students' ideas and out there for the whole student body to see. And a big thing for me was I'm a senior this year, so my interest in writing started last year, and I didn't really know what I could turn that into. And when I saw that journalism was an option this year, it made me realize what I want to major in college. So I'm going to be majoring in journalism. But I just thought that was really cool, and it kind of made me feel a little better because I was kind of freaking out about what I was going to major in, and then it really opened my eyes for me. So.
Thank you, Abby. I know, Marie, you wanted to say something, pass some wisdom along about what this does for the students?
Hello, my name is Marie Hogan. I'm a sophomore at Ferndale, and I feel like journalism, like Abby said, is an amazing program, especially because we get to put our opinions on a piece of paper for half the school to see, and people buy our subscriptions, parents, and they love what we do. And I love being a member on the newspaper. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, you can read all about whatever they feel about the newspaper.
This would be probably hot news, guys. I'll capture you with more real quick.
Mark?
Yeah.
Mark?
And then if the board in the back, I'm sorry to do this.
May I ask, how much is the subscription? Okay.
Oh, no, you're good, you're good. We're standing by the side.
Yep.
You're fine.
Okay, here we go.
That's good. Posterity. I'm that uncle everybody hates.
Thank you, guys. It's awesome.
And with that, this concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time. in your attention this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a time for public participation in the meeting. We're at public comment, sorry. The Board of Education intends for the public to have many opportunities to address the board and administration of their school district. These include phone calls, face-to-face meetings, community gatherings, public hearings, and other public meetings. We welcome individual and group input into the important issues that confront our schools. As noted at the top of the agenda, this is a meeting of the school board open to the public. We want to provide fair and impartial guidelines for participation as required by the Open Meetings Act and to encourage transparency and equal treatment for everyone in attendance. We also recognize that an effective meeting facilitates better decisions and promotes openness by allowing more people to stay for the full length of the meeting. To meet these goals, please note the following. We ask that you identify yourself and list contact information on a comment sheet to help administrators follow up with you on your comment. If you do not wish to do so in writing, please identify yourself at the podium, and if you need a response, please provide contact information with an administrator after the meeting. I will call on the people who have completed a comment sheet first. Each person will have one opportunity to address the board for up to 3 minutes. Comments or questions should be directed to the board president. Vice President Fulmer will raise her hand when your time is within a few seconds of expiring. This period of public comment is for both non-agenda items and issues on the agenda. Public comments will end at the close of this part of the agenda. In the event that the number of people wishing to comment requires longer than 30 minutes, public comment will be temporarily postponed after 30 minutes, and time will be added to the end of the meeting for those who did not get a chance to speak. Complaints about staff should be made outside of board meetings and should follow the applicable board policy. Please contact the superintendent's office if you have any questions regarding this item. The board cannot respond to complaints about employees in public. This is meant to promote fairness to the staff person and the complainant. The Ferndale Public Schools community acts with great civility toward one another. Please help us maintain that tradition during public comment. So, Quinn Ziegler.
Hello, my name is Quinn Ziegler, and I live at 705 West Camborne Street, and I recently served as the chair of the City of Ferndale's resident-led Finance Review Committee. This committee was appointed by City Council to study how a renewal or non-renewal of the Headley override will impact our city, and that includes our children and families. As you may know, the current Headley override is scheduled to expire at the end of 2025, and if it expires without a new source of funding, the city will need to cut approximately $4 million from its $26 million general operating fund. Our resident report is available on the city's website, and you can find my presentation to council on March 11th on the city's YouTube channel. In it, I share the background, the options we considered, and our ultimate recommendation. As a quick summary, our understanding is that if the current override expires, city services will be significantly eliminated, decreased, or outsourced in ways that result in less local control. The quality of life here in Ferndale would be dramatically reduced. This could include things like the complete elimination of all Parks and Rec programming and maintenance of our green spaces, one of the last places our children can gather and play freely. It could also involve cuts to neighborhood traffic calming, putting kids at greater risk as they walk to school or a friend's house, and cuts to Ferndale's many special events, which enrich the lives of families by their introduction to art and cultural experiences. Without this millage, Ferndale will not be able to make improvements to the community that support our students, be that buildings, parks, and other initiatives. As residents, we determined that this disinvestment in our community was unacceptable. So instead, we recommended that City Council put a reset of Ferndale's operating millage to a vote. We anticipate Council will make a decision in the coming weeks. And if residents approve the proposal, Ferndale will be able to continue current programming and make additional investments in our community, including expanded recreational opportunities. I would like to better understand the impacts of a non-renewal or conversely an expansion of the operating fund, the impacts that this would have on the school district and on our students. And if this body would like to learn more about the report, I welcome the opportunity to speak with you either individually or as a public presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Brooke Ciambelli.
Good evening. My name is Brooke Ciambelli, and I've been a resident of Ferndale for almost 10 years. I have an 8-year-old daughter attending Roosevelt Lower Elementary School, and I am also a former high school science teacher for Southfield Public Schools. I'm here today to tell you about my recent participation in the Resident-Led Finance Review Committee as well. So I served with Quinn on that committee. How it relates to the school board and how I see that relating to our children. During the 6 months I was on the committee, I learned a lot about my taxes and how the city's general fund is spent and utilized throughout the city, and how police, fire, staff, DPW, Parks and Rec, all of these things are prioritized based on many different strategic initiatives that the city of Ferndale takes into account as they fund certain programs. So why do I care? Why am I here talking to you tonight? I think Parks and Rec makes up 8% of the general fund budget. There is no state or local mandate to provide any recreational programming in any city. So it's often the first to be eliminated when funding goes down. This means no more summer day camps, which if you're an elementary school parent, fills up within 5 minutes on the first day that it's offered, leading us to make alternate sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Choices, sure, that's a good one too. So obviously we're not meeting that demand. I would like to see that expanded and all the stuff that goes along with that. But my daughter played Parks and Rec soccer in under 4. She never actually made it on the field during a game. Just a little too shy for that apparently. Loved running around though during practice, and we are hoping to get her back into all of the offerings that Parks and Rec has. If we don't have these things available to us, it would be devastating as a parent in the community. We also love to take walks downtown. We live on West Saratoga Street. I can see the dot from my front door, and we walk downtown all the time, especially with the weather getting better. So I hope to stay in Ferndale. I hope to have clean streets, and I need DPW for that. I hope to have my daughter continue to be involved in Parks and Rec and have all of these parks available and kept up for us. She can never decide which park she wants to go to, so that makes it difficult some days, but I want to encourage you to read the Financial Committee report. It really is something, and Quinn explains it very well in her presentation from May 11th. So I think together we can encourage City Council to include the recommended millage on the November ballot, keeping Ferndale safe and a kid-friendly place to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else here for public comment? All right, at this time, public comment is now closed. Which brings us to item 4, the consent agenda. 4.1, request to approve minutes of the special meeting, Committee of the Whole, Monday, March 4th, 2024. 4.2, request to approve minutes of the special meeting, Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. 4.3, request to approve minutes of the special meeting workshop, Monday, March 18th, 2024. 4.4, request to approve minutes of the regular meeting, Monday, March 18th, 2024. 4.5, request to approve new hires, resignations, and transfers. 4.6, request to approve bills and accounts for March. 4.7, request approval of the Head Start Director's Report. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for questions or discussions later?
No.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move.
Moved by Peter,
I'll second.
seconded by Jonathan. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the motion passes and the consent agenda is approved. Item 5, action items. Please note that all the action items being voted on tonight were discussed in depth at Committee of the Whole meeting held on Monday, April 1st at 6 p.m. We invite and encourage community members to attend our Committee of the Whole meetings, which are also open to the public. 5.1, request to approve the 3-year Plant Moran audit estimate.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to request the approval of the Plant Moran 3-year audit, or 3-year contract extension. They're our auditors, and they've been our auditors for numerous years. And for Ferndale Schools, they have a lot of experience in the education sector. We feel that their extensive school experience, the training of the professional staff, and their leadership in the state are major deciding factors. They provide valuable client experiences. The financial impact, the estimated cost for 3 years is $232,300. So we recommend, is the recommendation of the superintendent to engage Plant Moran on a 3-year audit extension.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5.1, request to approve the 3-year Plant Moran audit estimate.
So moved.
Moved by Jackie,
I'll second.
seconded by Mary. Any discussion on the motion?
Appreciate the consideration of helping lock in the cost as well as the accurate auditing that we've had with this service, so the thoughtfulness in continuing with them.
Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the motion passes and item 5.1, the 3-year Plant Moran audit estimate is approved. Item 5.2, request to approve the Sex Education Advisory Board.
No, those
No.
were struck. We're at 5.5.
All right. Missed those. All right. So new 5.2, request to approve the K-5 literacy proposal?
Yes.
All right. That's what happens when you're late.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you all know, I presented at the Committee of the Whole about the fish tank as our core curriculum for K-5 literacy. So we're requesting that you approve it today.
I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5.2, request to approve the K-5 literacy proposal. Moved by Jen,
Second.
seconded by Sarah. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the motion passes and item 5.2, request to approve the K-5 literacy proposal is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.3, request to approve the 23-24 ESL. No?
Number 7.
Oh, we skipped that one too. All right,
Informational.
got it. We're,
The 2024 auction.
Yeah, we're at the auction.
got it. All right, request to approve the 2024 auction.
So tonight we ask that the school board take into consideration, the district has some surplus items. We actually have 2 buses that are in as-is, where-is condition that we need to auction. In addition to that, we have some other surplus materials that we'd like to include in an auction. And this agenda item is to address that. We're proposing use of online auctioneer, Bittergy.com. It's based in Kalamazoo and in Garden City. And the proceeds would be returned to the district to help us fund some other initiatives throughout the school year.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5.3, the request to approve the 2024 auction.
I'll move.
Moved by Jonathan,
Second.
seconded by Peter. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, Ms. Shepherd?
Quick. Hart.
Yeah.
Tosh.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Goldmer.
Yes.
President Hughes.
Yes, thank you. With 7 yes votes, the motion passes, and item 5.3, request to approve the 2024 auction is approved. Number 6 is still on the agenda, right? Superintendent?
Yes.
All right, all you.
But there's no update at this time.
Perfect.
Not this time. I think that's what
Robert, could you check, is the coffee burning back there? Do you guys smell, it's that or popcorn? Something's.
Item 7, informational item, 7.1, budget to actual report. She said there's no update at this time.
Are you sure?
page number down. Sorry.
Okay, this is the budget to actual report for March 31st, 2024. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, so I will. One of the notes that you made in the document you shared with us was that as a district, we're spending less in athletics. And we just heard a presentation from Principal Griffin about how we have a JV soccer team that we haven't had, and there was an extra winter guard team. So could you just provide some more context so we understand that?
Well, I think some expenses weren't paid. They weren't paid with some staff being out in the fall, and so now we're gonna catch up. I think we're gonna catch up, so I think we're gonna get back on track here to the budget in the next month.
Okay, that's helpful.
Sorry, just one, as I've also, there wasn't a note for it, but as I was looking it up on the screen, the federal, you're able to scroll up a little bit, please? The federal revenue, like, is a big percentage difference. Is there a reason why we're seeing that big of a difference between, from like?
Some of the grants.
Just when we have to use them or pay, like, pay them?
Yeah, well, I know one grant still isn't approved by MDE, and another grant was recently approved by MDE, so we can't request funds if the grant's not approved.
Okay.
And then I have a question. Line item, adult education, there's a note. Can you give more explanation on, it just says adult ed, but like the
Yeah, that is one where the grant MDE has not approved the grant yet. So we're kind of stuck until they approve it.
Okay, so so the reason why it's, so I understand, so like it's in the budget as a line, but we can't actually use the funds yet, is why, so that's why we haven't used a large, okay.
Yes.
Now that's making sense to me as to why it's larger. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of pulled, we didn't have any pulled agenda items. Our next committee of the whole meeting is Monday, May 6th at 6 p.m. Our next regular board meeting is Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. Which brings us to number 11, Eagles Points of Pride.
I'm gonna go first. Yeah. I want to say I really enjoyed FHS's presentation. I enjoyed having the teachers be able to come up and like really speak to with like the newspaper, the fact that like they are invested in it and it means a lot to them and they enjoy it to where like then that's going to rub off on all the students. Seeing the peer-to-peer and seeing like a Ferndale grad come back, like all of that just was awesome to see. Just really enjoyed that. I enjoyed just being able to hear from staff. I think is really nice, along with hearing the students come up and seeing their involvement for it. I'm gonna do a couple, and I'm sorry. NJHS was able to go to that and see like their largest group of NJHS inductees, which was awesome to see more and more students doing that.
Sarah, you're using an acronym.
National Junior Honor Society, thank you very much. I hate acronyms. National Junior Honor Society for the middle school. Seeing so many more students being involved with that. I loved in the high school one too, seeing that sports are like increasing their involvement. The fact I know I did a yes for like the girls having a JV soccer team, like that. As kids that I have that are much younger coming up, I'm very excited to see that we are able to field more of those teams and having more involvement. I know it's not just sports, it's across the board for different things, but seeing kids get more involved is awesome. Are we this time talking about the conference and about something?
If you would like to.
I will, and I'm sorry, we're gonna go. So we attended, so if everyone isn't aware, the board was able to attend the National School Board Association's conference. That was last weekend, the weekend before this past one, in New Orleans. And besides it being a really good, I think, team building event and being able to just get to know each other better, the presentations that we were able to go see and learn from were amazing. One of them that I really enjoyed was the superintendent evaluations one that was given by Rochester School Board. And it just gave a different way of breaking down how to break the year apart to make it easier so you're not doing it all at one time, but you're taking it at different points. I think it's going to be very similar to some of the stuff with like the dynamic strategic plan where you're going to be constantly updating and being the same thing for a superintendent's review instead of it being all at one time trying to do it. It also had some neat things with how instead of having the entire board, they would have 2 people at a time do the quarterlies and then report out to the entire board, which I think especially as like new school board members come on is a good way to have them not feel intimidated maybe, and be able to ask some of those questions they might not feel comfortable in a bigger group asking and be able to do some of that. So it was just a lot of new things that we have not been presented to necessarily from like MASB, seeing in a different way as to how other school boards have done it and been successful with it. So hopefully something we can talk about for the next time or the next one coming up. Thank you for letting me talk so long.
I'm going to cut in. I'll piggyback off that. NSBA also, I feel like it was a good experience. Just one session I'll talk about that really stood out to me was on a school district in Texas that has a really intentional, like in their policy and in their operating procedures and administrative guidelines, connective tissue that weaves their communication protocol between board and superintendent and all administrative staff actually into the superintendent's evaluation, into their strategic plan. So every time they're communicating with each other, all of that's integrated and it's very intentional. And I think kind of speaks to what was mentioned by Ms. Hibbler and looking at a dynamic plan sounded very much aligned with that, very much aligned with our values of how we strive for transparency and clarity and continuality in our communication. So I'm interested to talk more about that with the board as I think there are some practices to take away from there that align with our values and what we want to do. Points of pride, quick shout outs in this meeting. One, the fish tank literacy proposal. I want to shout out when Ms. Robinson talked to us at the committee of the whole, just clear how much work has gone into researching that from a professional standpoint, from getting getting staff feedback from, I know from personal experience on that parent side too, and there was a lot of opportunities made for that parent feedback. So I'm really pleased with all the thoughtfulness that went into that, the many, many pros, and also being aware of the ways where we need to adapt it. Same with the auction proposal. Ms. Wright, thank you so much for intentionally thinking about what can we do with our materials that we no longer use. I know that's really closing a gap for us, so thank you for your thought put into that. And then I want to highlight the peer-to-peer program. My youngest brother was part of the inauguratory group in that, along with Mr. Collins. So that's a really special group to me, and to me highlights we have I think a strength of our school community is there is a lot of intention to the commitment to the spirit of the free and appropriate public education for students in special education. And peer-to-peer program, I think, is a more classic example of that when we're talking about kids who are otherwise in a self-contained environment, then getting that kind of interaction. But I see it in the interactions my kids have in the gen ed setting with kids of varying IEPs who are integrated into our classes. I know there's a lot of work that goes into that. I know it is not always easy work, but I'm very proud of our special ed and gen ed staff who are committed to that, our parents who stay committed to that, and the students themselves, because it really benefits everyone in the classroom. Everyone in the classroom, teacher included, learns from that inclusion, and it means a lot to the families as well as the students. So very proud of us for that.
I'll jump in. I have 3 little points of pride. The first one, I don't think I said at the last meeting, but I got the wonderful chance to read to a group of students at FECC, which was really fun to do and always a great reminder of why we got into this, which is for the children. My second point of pride was I got the honor to go to UHS's Black Excellence program. Watching the students perform and recite some of their self-made poems. I think that was my favorite part of the whole night, was just the poets and hearing their own personal stories. I'll keep mine a little bit shorter. And then my last point of pride was also a little bit of NSPH as well. I finally got that board dinner that I've been asking for. It was a really great time to just connect and learn more about what we can bring back to our district just to continue to improve our excellence. That's it.
I guess I'll go. Sort of repeating some of the same themes here. Like Jonathan, I attended the Black Excellence Celebration at UHS last month, and it was really great to see students and how talented they are, because a lot of times we hear about, the academics, so it was really good to hear and see their creative side and how talented they are. Peer-to-peer, my son was in general ed a few years ago, and he was a peer for 2 semesters. And so I really feel that it's a great program. I'm happy to hear that it's continuing, that enrollment in the class is increasing, because like Peter said, it's a win-win for both the general ed student and the special ed student. I know from experience that my son benefited, and even now, having been a graduate, he utilizes those skills in the work that he does with students that he works with in the summer camp programs that he attends every year. And I'm also really pleased from the presentations tonight to hear that we have many teachers who are 10, 15 plus year employees, as well as alumni who have come back to teach. That's always great to hear, because sometimes we always hear about those short-term or the negative. So it's really refreshing to hear that being reinforced, that we do have long-term employees and alumni who come back to the district. And then speaking on the NSBA conference, it was really great going this year with almost a full board. You were with us in spirit for sure. And it was good to, as a team building, because a lot of times, we just don't have that time together, just to build relationships on a personal level, which I know will increase and improve our relationships at the board table. One session that stood out to me, I work for an AI company, a technical company, so I attended the AI in education session. And I really want us to be more proactive in the policies that we write and that we review going forward. And I would love for us in the next year to really consider how we can implement more AI policies, as well as with the CIA team, Mr. Mays, to be more proactive in how we can implement AI into our curriculum.
AI. I want to jump in here and say I loved the high school presentation and that the newspaper has come back. The foundation I work for has a big initiative around independent journalism. Nationally, the Knight Foundation has a huge initiative around independent journalism and what's happening in our country, especially in our political climate. Anything we can do to encourage kids in that profession, but also to normalize newspapers and journalism is really important. And big shout out there. Also, shout out to the elementary folks and the fidelity to the skate nights. I love seeing the pictures in Mr. Tolbert's weekly update. Can't remember what it's called. E-Blast, thank you. I loved skate night and brought back great memories, so super excited about that. Two sessions that I brought home among many from the school board conference. One is we had the pleasure of hearing from Ruby Bridges. And it's quite something to look at a woman who integrated public schools when she was 6 years old, and 60 years later have her talk to us about we have not fought the good fight and the race is not over. And a couple things really struck me. She talked about teachers as first responders. So I'm looking at you, Ms. Mickles. You live that experience every day. But I think it was just a reminder of the incredible and impactful work our teachers are doing. And she really talked about division in this country right now being deeper than race. And she talked a lot about evil and its impact on what's going on. And she left us with this phrase, evil does not know which one of us is going to take it out. And I think as there were school board members from 49 states, and it was really a call to action to figure out how we move the needle on access to equitable public education in this country. And that the other thing I just will briefly mention is a session on strategic planning, and we've talked about it here, and we're coming up to a cycle where we need to do it. But what I really appreciated was the positioning. Sometimes we think of strategic planning as fixing problems, not enhancing strengths. And I think as a community that's a little weary for many, many reasons, as we engage various stakeholders, I encourage us to engage those stakeholders from a strengths and building perspective as opposed to a weakness and problem-solving perspective.
Wow, that was a lot tonight. So I've been sitting here thinking about, I do have one point of pride I will get to, and I'm sad that I did not get to join you all, but I was in Saginaw watching the robotics state competition as the last extracurricular activity as a high school parent, so I needed to make sure I was there for that. And all the kids did great from Ferndale and from OSTC, so it was great to be there. And it sounds like it was an absolutely wonderful event, and everyone learned a ton. And just the interweaving of what everyone has talked about and how our district can move forward, I think that definitely it played out there between the policies, the AI, journalism, the strategic plan, desegregation, all of those things that we've grappled with over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, strategic planning is what got us to desegregate our own schools since I've been sitting on this board. So what we can do, and as taking places that we recognize and acknowledge our history and know where we can go in the future, I think that's so important. I think this board does a great job doing that. So to take all those tools from the national and to bring it here, I'm excited to see where this body takes that moving forward. My point of pride is also that, but by the next time that we have a regular school board meeting, our seniors will be done with school. So I just want to shout out to those seniors and say, it's been a long 13 years. You've all survived it. I talked at the pinning ceremony about that day that we put the kids on the bus and the day that they got up in kindergarten, and we pinned that little luggage tag to them, right? With the name of their name and their address and the bus number and their kindergarten teacher. And that was kind of like their ticket, where they were coming from and where they were going. And now they're about to get their diplomas, which will remind them of the foundation that they have here and the support that they're going to have from their teachers and the support staff and the board. And also that's just their ticket to the future. And they've all done such an amazing job, teachers, staff, admin, to get them to this point. And the kids have worked so hard and have had so much going on in the last 13 years. So just so proud of them and where they're going. And 4 more weeks. You guys can do it. Just finish out that 4 more weeks. No more senioritis, and don't take out anyone with the water wars. So it'll all be good. That's it.
Go next, right? So I echo what everyone says here. I was also going to mention the session on strategic planning from the conference. It was very impactful, and it actually gave us a roadmap, right? Camille laid out her vision for dynamic planning. FYI, the RFP was posted today for a dynamic planning facilitator. So we're looking forward to seeing what kind of responses we get. But ultimately, we understand that our strategic plan is not going to be written to sit on the shelf. It's something that we're going to live. And so we're looking forward to that. We're down to notes. I also want to shout out the elementary skate party, which I wasn't expecting to be so well attended. That was my first one. And it was so much fun. I did not get on skates because I cannot afford to fall at this moment in my life. I'm very careful around cracks. But it was so engaging. It was wonderful to see teachers, not only from upper and lower, but just teachers throughout the district there. Principal Jeffrey was on skates. Like, she rolled up on me like, "What's up? Where are the skates?" And to see all the kiddos that you see in school, it was really nice to see. And then one other shout out, I want to give credit to Taiwania because she mentioned something to us this week. Ferndale High School was mentioned in the MDE article. We are one of 12 schools in Michigan offering advanced placement in African American studies. So,
Go ahead, finish it, go ahead.
But it was really nice to see and hear that shout out. I really hope the kids enjoy the class, right? That inaugural class. That's it.
All right, so I get to go last. No, you're fine. I didn't know anyone else knew about that. So I'm going to echo a couple of things. So the past couple of weeks for me have been conference filled between school board conference and then the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators Women in Leadership Conference. So I've been around school board members, superintendents and stuff with all of you all in New Orleans. And then the very next day in Traverse City with a bunch of women leaders across the state of Michigan. And so I was going to say this, like, so in the, I'm losing track of time and place. But when I was in Traverse City, there was a shout out for us for two things in New Orleans, which I didn't know that it would show up in Traverse City. One, yes, Ruby Bridges was awesome, but most of you may or may not know, we had shirts for that particular keynote that said Brave Like Ruby on it and the Ferndale Schools logo. So we all wore that to the keynote. And when I was in Traverse City, I don't even remember this lady's name, but she's from like the other side of the state. And their school board wants to order our shirts with our logo on it. I'm like, here's my email, but I'm not sure we're doing it yet. And they said that just exemplifies like the foresight that Ferndale has. Like they're one of those districts, Kennewaw Hills maybe? It's one of those districts that has been following us along. And they were like, every chance they get, they're like, when can we come over? When can we connect? So I just wanted to share that. And then the MDE article came up at work this morning. So I work in IT at Wayne Risa, but I got called up into the Ed Services Department, which is totally out of my lane, and they were asking me about this course, and I'm like, I'm a school board member. I just approve things, and then they do the work. Like, I really don't know. So we got a shout out for that. There was another thing we got a shout out for. It was more admin stuff. It'll come to me. But just so you know, oh, I remember what it is. It was a shout out for you and Camille. You guys were at something and you made an impression. And so you were mentioned in, I wasn't in the presentation because I was giving my presentation, but in Traverse City, in someone else's presentation, the way the two of you represented somewhere was acknowledged in someone else's presentation. So that was my point of pride for today, yes. I think that's it. So with that, number 12, request to go into closed session to discuss negotiations.
Do you have to say who?
Yeah.
Yes. Who
Yes.
with?
Is it, so, request to go into closed session, discuss negotiations with the school board, with Felicia and Tom, Dawn?
Dawn? Just Tom.
Just Tom, okay.
So Dawn's like, oh no.
I know.
Okay, moved by Sarah, seconded by Jackie. Roll call, Ms. Shepherd.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Yes.
Elter.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. With 7 yes votes, the motion is approved. We need to take a couple minutes, or we just heading right down the hall? All right, on the move.
8:29?
What's that?
8:29?